And I've been looking at this photograph, and I also have my tiny sample here. Um, Normally I'd have us paint or tape the edges. I don't have the tape today, so we'll just do our best to leave a white border when we work on this. It'll help keep our fingers clean as we're trying to hold down the paper. So as usual, you've got one small sheet, one large. The small sheet is for testing out paints. Today, since we're going to be doing the sketch, we're going to jump right in with the sketch on this larger sheet. And you can look at the photo for reference as always. And also this small painting here. Let me see if I can fit everything up here. Does anyone have any questions before we get started? No? Okay. Then with that, when I'm making a sketch, I'm always looking for the largest objects or largest things to establish before I put in the details. And the largest things I see here are this whole group of trees on the bottom and this entire rock. So we have 1, 2, 3, 1 being the sky, 2 being this rock formation with the waterfall, 3 being the trees, and if there were a fourth, I'd say this line down here that forms the ground. And so I want to eyeball where most of these things are. This tree line hovers around the middle of this image. So if you were to draw some wavy lines just around here, maybe starting roughly on the upper half of this paper and then going up and down like this, you can kind of outline where the trees are going to go, and you can make these rough little bumps to draw this part. And then there is one standalone tree right here we can draw separately. I think it's a little bit higher than halfway up the page. So I'm going to make a couple of blob-like shapes here. It almost looks like a cloud. You have also this eraser if you need to make any corrections. And then back here there are some more treetops. Just make sure when you're drawing this you leave enough room to paint the rocks back here, a waterfall. After you've done that part, the next thing we can do is establish the ground right here. It's essentially a straight line across the bottom. I'll pause right here so you can catch up. I'll come take a quick peek. Great. Anyone got questions? Looks like everyone's doing pretty good. Okay. So this doesn't have to be a floating blob. It can be a tree once you add a trunk down the middle. And actually, I think I made this a little bit low on my page. I'm going to raise it a bit. I want the bottom of this tree trunk to be below this line because it's below the horizon line. So I'm going to raise mine a bit more. And then afterwards, we can outline this rock formation here. One thing we can start with for the rock formation is to draw the waterfall because it's actually right in the middle of the image. And that'll be our center point. So if you can eyeball where the middle of this page is, I would say it's roughly here. We can draw this small shape just like that. Right now it's floating, but once we add the top of this rock formation, it'll look like a waterfall. Right now it just looks like a spike. Yes.
I need your help.
Okay. No, it's good. I'm glad you're asking for help.
I want to know where to put the waterfall.
I would put it, we could either move this to the side so we can put the waterfall right in the middle. But
Oh, okay.
if you want to be creative and put it slightly to the side, you can do that too. What do you
Oh,
think about, would you prefer to move this one so it can be in the center?
maybe so, yeah.
Okay. Can I help you with that
Yeah.
part? All
Hmm.
right.
Yeah, because I
So
got too
then
carried
you got lots of tall trees. So I'll just lower these trees down here,
away. Oh, okay.
and then I would put the waterfall maybe right there. Oops, I made yours a little bit thicker. You can kind of customize it
Okay.
however you like
Hmm.
too.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be Yosemite.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome. For this next bit, I'm gonna go ahead and outline the rocks here. It starts up here and moves its way down. Maybe I'll adjust this a little bit. I see a bump here and another one here, and then it goes down like that. And once you have that, you can also block out some of these trees here. I know there are a few right here. I'm gonna roughly add the trunks. And whenever you're ready, you can also outline the trunk on this tree in the foreground. You'll have one main trunk and then a few branching out from there. And remember, this sketch can be pretty rough. You don't have to follow it 100% when you start your painting. I think I'm going to do something like this. Maybe I'll make this a little bit lower. Okay. Feel free to make adjustments as you go. Okay. Make this a little bit lower. Once you have these main elements, we can add a little bit more detail. If you notice in the photo, there are some green areas on the rock. We can outline where those are, and I've painted those roughly on this small copy here too. So I would outline, this part can be for a green spot, and then there's another rock formation right here, the green spot right there. You can add another shape right there for more green. I don't want to do a lot of these details because at a certain point it might get kind of confusing. I just want to block out some main spots. And then next we can move on to the watercolor. Nice. Great. Okay. Feel free to call me if you'd like any help. Looks like everyone's about done with the sketch. So first, we're gonna do this in some layers. We haven't been working in layers lately because it takes a while for it to dry, but I figured out a process where we can do one part and then work on another part while that first part's drying. And we also have this test paper to work with too. So the first thing with watercolor, we typically do the lightest layers first and then gradually build up to the darkest parts of the painting, since we can't put light colors on top of dark colors. So here we're going to begin with the sky. And with the sky, we've just got some light blue with some of these washes here. So to practice for that one, I'd like you to use the small sheet, and we'll go ahead and use, I would suggest this blue here for the sky color. And I'm going to make a swatch to make sure this shade of blue is what I'm looking for, that it's not too dark or too light. So pick up some of this one, swish it with a lot of water to make it kind of diluted. And I think I put too much because I can hardly see that one. So I'm going to pick up more pigment and then make another swatch. These swatches are for testing. And I'm looking for something about that dark. And I'm making a reservoir of that color right here. Oh, are we? Do you not have paper towel? Okay. All good. We have more if you use up that one. Fortunately, we're right next to the bathroom. So look for like I would describe this as a mid-tone. It's not extremely light or dark when you make your swatch. Once you have this shade, I would say that you're ready to create your sky. And I'll walk us through that step by step here. Okay. I think everyone's got the blue ready. Okay, great. I see some of you have started on the sky. That's great. I'm going to show you a technique that I used for this one if you want to follow along. I'm using this larger, this is called a flat brush because it's got this rectangular shape. I like using this one when I have a lot of area to cover. And for this, I'm going to fill above. Actually, I can overlap this a little bit. That's okay because we're going to wait for this to dry anyway, but it's got to be above some clear water here above the rocks here. And I'm using the reflection of what I see on the paper to see where the edge is. Wait, I don't know if you can see it on camera. Okay, there, you can see it like that. That's how I know where the water is. Sometimes I have to tilt my head. I'm applying a layer of clean water, and then I'm going to drop in that blue on some spots. So while this is still wet, this is the wet on wet technique we've been practicing a lot. I'm taking the blue that I mixed earlier, I'm dropping it where I want the sky to peek through. There are some clouds in this image, so I'm going to try to paint around the clouds or where I want them to be. And because I put down that water first, it's going to bloom and have these fluffy, soft edges, which is what I'm looking for clouds. If you've already started on your sky, you can have the same effect if you add or use a brush to add just water to the edge of what you've painted, like this. You can kind of soften the edges like that, if you so choose. I think I'll leave it like this. Maybe add a little bit of blue here. I'm going to make up some clouds that aren't in the picture. And I'm doing my best to leave a clean edge right here, but it might get a little bit messy. And I'm letting this overlap with this line that I drew here because I'm going to paint over it later with a darker color, and it'll mostly be masked. I just don't want it to cover the waterfall because I want to leave that white. Nice. Okay, everyone's done with the sky. Some of you have read my mind and you started on the ground. That's what I'm going to do next. The ground and the trees here. In the original image, they're quite yellow, and in this photo, they're very orange. It's up to you if you want to make them orange like the photo or more golden like I have in my photo here. I'm going to go with the golden version since I prefer that palette. So the yellow I recommend is between these two. This one's a yellow ochre. It's more like mustard or turmeric maybe. Or I think this one's more like turmeric, but I'm just gonna mix both of them. And this one's gonna be actually, because I'm covering so much ground, I would recommend this one, but both brushes work. I'm gonna pick up a lot of paint so it's very, very pigmented. I want this color to be very vivid. So I'm gonna pick up a lot of this right here. And then use this whole brush to swipe across here. This is a dry brush effect where the brush is not very wet and it leaves this texture. Sometimes that's really nice for a different texture. You'll notice when you use a bigger brush, you'll need a lot more water because it holds a lot and uses a lot. And as long as I'm doing these lighter layers, it's okay to overlap some parts. Like I've painted over the trunk here, but later on I'm going to use a darker color to paint on top, so it's fine. Now there's the ground, and then I'm going to use more or less the same color to paint in these trees here. Feel free to mix these colors too. I'm holding on to this painting on the very edges where I didn't paint it. So I use the one it's next to this bright yellow. It's right here. I would say from white, it's 1, 2, 3, 4 over. You could even use the 5th or 6th one over too. Those are also good colors to use. They're not the same, but they're next to each other and they're neighbors. And with these trees, you can go ahead and outline them. I tend to make my trees look very round. That's just my my style, I guess. You can make yours different shapes. And because this orange tree is going to be darker, it is okay if I overlap here all my lines. And I am leaving a little bit of a white gap below these trees. You don't have to do that because if you look at my sample painting, you'll see I filled in those gaps with greens and browns. You can fill it in all the way if you want to, like this. Let's see. There's some green trees back here. Let's see if I can put all of this on screen here. Okay. Let's go with the light yellow right here. Well, that's a very vivid yellow landscape. Once you're done with this, these trees on the lower half of the painting, your sky might be dry by now. If not, what you can do is actually go ahead and work on this tree right here by adding in orange. You have one very vivid orange right here. It's next to the red. But before I do that, I'll just come and check on everybody. Okay. Give everyone a chance to finish the trees here. If anyone would like me to help demonstrate on part of your painting, I'm happy to do that. Sometimes it really helps to see things up close. Hmm. Yeah, so for those who are ready, I can go ahead and do that now too. The orange tree right here is with this color. It's next to this yellow, across from this very dark purple that almost looks like black. And I'm making this just as saturated and pigmented as the yellow trees I had earlier. Hey. Oh, thank you. Oh, that's okay. Thank you. Yosemite. Yeah, it's beautiful. Okay. So if you're counting from the green, this green, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes, 6 went over. And my yellow didn't fully dry, so it's bleeding out there a little bit, which I don't mind. I kind of like that soft edge on some parts. And if you want to add a little bit of color variation within your tree, you could mix in a little bit of brown if you don't want it to look as flat. And by flat, I mean just one color. Sometimes adding one other color or a little bit of other color gives it some more dimension. I think I might do that after I put on this layer. Let's try the brown next to the black and add a little bit on the bottom. Putting it on the bottom side of this tree gives it a little bit of like a shadow effect. Makes it look more three-dimensional. Oh yeah, so this waterfall is called Upper Yosemite Falls. The part that we can see at least. I've actually hiked up there and rock climbed this area with my husband. It's a lot of fun. Oh, really? I mean, yeah, with watercolor, you can actually work from dark to light too if you work in sections. Yeah. Oh. Yeah, I'm only doing it this way so there's enough time for everything to dry without us having to wait. So I've kind of divided the sections a bit. Typically, with watercolor, you can either work in sections so that things don't overlap, or you can work from light to dark in layers. And I'm kind of doing this as a no dry waiting time method. Now at this point, the sky should be pretty dry, not completely dry. Mine's, I can tell because it's cool to the touch. I usually use the back of my hand. There's still water in there, but it's not really wet. So I think it's okay to work with. Once everyone's about done with the tree, we'll move on to the rocks in the background. Yay. Okay. Okay. Now for the rocks, when I painted this one, I used brown and blue, which makes a gray color. I actually think it might be nice to try using the gray in our palette. I'm going to experiment a little bit with y'all here. So using this gray, actually it's probably better to use, hold on. I'm going to be using this wider brush because we are covering a lot of area here. And it helps with making straight lines if you use this edge. So even if you're still working on your trees, you might want to watch this part so you know how to do it later. I'm gonna mix a little bit of this gray. The gray is next to the light brown right here. This looks a little bit dark. I'm gonna lighten this a bit. The gray is right here. I'm gonna mix that with a little bit of the brown right next to it. It'll make a, I don't know how to describe this color. It's like a warm gray. And then we have this as our friend. I test it out on here to make sure it looks the way I want to. I think I want it a bit darker and a bit more gray. Just a tiny bit. I think on screen it might look a little purple. Oh, you might be, hold on, let me see what you're using. It should look gray. Yeah, that's the one. You might have a little bit of purple mixed in, which just means you need to rinse your brush. Okay. Yeah, we've got a light grayish color here. Looks good on my swatch. I'm gonna fill this in with that color all the way down here. I'm trying to keep it watery enough so that it stays wet so I can blend in a little bit of brown later on. And I'm gonna try to outline the trees that I painted here earlier. And I'm painting on top of the area that I'm outlined for the green because we're gonna cover that with a more saturated color later. Hello.
How we doing?
Good. Oops. We'll do this flat layer across the whole picture. Thank you. I'll try to outline this. And if you want to leave some lines for the ridges you see in the photo, I would leave some white gaps and make these kinds of lines going downward, following the edge of the rock formation here. That does give it a little bit of texture. Oops. Okay, let me come over and help you. Oops. So I just made this kind of grayish brown.
How did you make the grayish brown again?
Yeah,
You
so
put the brown on the gray?
it's mostly this gray color with a little bit of this light brown. And I used quite a bit of water, so it's very light. It looks like this. And if yours is a little bit more brown versus gray or more gray than brown, that's fine. Just looking for an approximate. There we go. I'm painting around the waterfall to leave that white. Nice. Yeah, it looks like you've got the color. I would use more of the gray for you there.
Or the gray.
Right here, yeah. Very nice. And the key to having this be very flat and even is to make sure when you're laying down the paint, you're touching the edges of what you just painted so that you're basically pulling the color across or adding to the edge of each body of paint that you have on here. Maybe I can demonstrate more in a little bit. Oops. Okay. Does anyone need more time for this first layer that we just put down for the rocks? Or anyone have any questions or want any help? If not, I'm going to move on to the next step. Okay. No. It's good. It's good that you're asking for help. I'm here to help. Okay. You actually, I mean, you got it here. I think one thing I would do is maybe clean up this edge here. You have plenty of paint here. I'm just going to borrow it from this
Yeah,
section.
that's fine, no problem.
And then outline that waterfall so you can see it more clearly. I think the rest is good. That's the most important part. Let me see if I can help clean this part. There we go. Help you pull this to this edge. Great. Do this side too. Yeah, that's what I'm here for. Okay. Now I'm gonna show the next step. Once you have this layer on, it might still be wet, it might be dry, either way. It's fine to move on to this next step. I'm gonna let mine blend and bleed where it's wet, and I think the effect is kind of nice. So this rock formation is gonna have 3 layers. We just put down the first one. The next layer is gonna be the light brown. You see I have some of those marks right here. I'm going to be using this color, which we just mixed in with the gray, and I'm going to keep it fairly light. I'm going to test the swatch on here and make sure about that shade is good. And notice it's not very watery. This is kind of relatively dry in that there's no puddling at all, and this is going to dry really quickly compared to the other parts. And I want that so that it doesn't blend too much. I'm gonna put a couple of streaks here, kind of eyeballing what I see in the photo, but also just making it up as I go a little bit, following those ridges that I see right here. And I like putting this especially right next to the waterfall because it provides some contrast in that area and makes that white stand out even more. It's almost like an outline. And I'll just kind of use my eye here to put these where I think it would look really nice, but you don't have to exactly follow the photo. Just spacing out some of these streaks here. You doing okay? Has there been an accident? It happens. What's happening? Let me see. Oh, that'll happen, and I can show you how to fix that too. Oh, you're already starting to do it though, by using some water and lifting it.
Oh, right.
Yeah, and then you can also, if you have a clean paper towel, you can also dab it
Okay.
to lift it too.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, you're doing well. That's exactly how I would fix it if I got one color that bled into another spot. Would you like some help? Also, in my original here, I think I actually used yellow, but I went for a more orange tone here. I think both of them look fine. Both of them look good. Are you working on this part?
Yeah, this all in here is done.
Okay.
Crazy.
I'd recommend making this layer a little bit darker and then making this line a little bit lighter. Maybe using maybe this color instead or this brown. I think you're using red right here. That's why it looks a little bit
Yeah,
different.
I got carried away here.
Can I help you? Let's see. So let me help you with that gray layer.
Okay.
And we'll make it a little bit darker so we can see it better. So right now I'm mixing quite a watery gray here with a little bit of that brown. Let me test this out. I think that looks good. About that dark is what we're looking for. So I'm just going to paint over this here, another additional layer to what you have. Now this is standing out much more. And notice how much water I'm using and how much is sitting on top of this. This much water will help it blend later when I put the other streaks on top. And if I keep working on this, it'll spread out the red a little bit and dilute it, so it's not as red. Adding water and then moving it around or pressing and lifting will remove the paint. Do you need more paper towel? I feel like you could use another sheet. Hold on. Okay, so then I was using this one earlier. While this is still wet and I can tell because it's shiny, I'm gonna add the streaks like you were adding here earlier. And maybe like around here, here, or here to show the edges of the rock formation. It's blending a little bit, which is what I was looking for in mine too. Yeah. So that helps it stand out a bit. And you can use this too. I hope that helps. Yeah, and you can use this bit that I made just now too.
Oh, okay.
I didn't do the rest of that, so now I have to figure out how to
Oh yeah. You could use the same color you did earlier and just fill it in.
get that used.
Okay. I'm gonna move on to the next layer I was gonna add to the mountain. I don't think it's technically a mountain. It's a rock formation of some kind. But I'm gonna, for this darker area that I did earlier, I'm gonna use, I had used this color. It's a blue color, and I mixed it with a little bit with this one. So these two are the colors I'm using. So this blue is right next to this light blue. And that it's in between the light blue and this extremely dark purple that looks like black. And I'm gonna test out the color here as a swatch. It's gonna produce kind of like a murky purple. Almost looks like a black that's got a purple tinge to it. This is similar to the tone I have here, which I'm looking for. It's this blue is almost like it looks like this by itself. This is mixed with a bit of this brown, this light brown here that I had used earlier. And that mixed with this produces this color. Yeah. There's a little bit of color theory here working out. So you may or may not know this, when you mix two colors that are opposite of each other on the color wheel, they make gray. These are almost opposite of each other, which is why it's they're almost opposite of each other, so that's why they're almost making a gray. It's got a little bit of a tint to it, or a different color. These two. So if you count from the black, it's the third one over, and 4, 5, 6, 7, seventh one over. I'm gonna keep pointing at these two. And we're looking for this color. It's like a gray, purplish gray. It can lean more blue if you'd like. You can kind of adjust it. Here's a slightly bluer version of that, which I'm gonna go with. And then I'm gonna fill that in, make these lines on top where I see this shade in the photo. It's mostly on the very right side. I'm making these diagonal lines going down towards the right on the right side. And do the same thing on this side. Just outlining what I see in the photo. Oops, make sure that stays on the screen. I could say this upper left area is one big block of dark color. And we have more down here. This time I used this dark color, this grayish color, and put it on the left side of the waterfall. Now it's really outlining it. Also, I'd say landscapes are overall more challenging than what we've been doing, so you can congratulate yourself for attempting this one. Yes. After this bit, we've got smaller details we can start adding in the greens, and then some of the darker lines that become the trunks and the branches, including some shadow down here. We have a couple more minutes to do that. If you want to edit further to save time, we could just focus on the trees down here. The green for the trees are a mix of the yellow or orange that we used for the first layer, plus a little bit of one of the greens. It could be either one of the greens here. Well, I would say that's for the green foliage in the back if you decide to do that part. For the trunk, you can just use this dark brown next to the black with some of the black. And then make sure you test out how it looks on your swatch page. So brown plus black with very little water. Looks like this. This is gonna look like, it's gonna look this dark. So right here what I'm adding is that brown and black mixture. Excuse me. Maybe I shouldn't have added this really dark bit, but I'm filling in the tree trunk. Let me erase that. Excuse me. Tree trunk on here. You can also just use straight brown if you don't want it to look so dark. If you use straight brown, it can go right here. Excuse me, as well as on some of these trees back here. You can add a couple of lines. And then below these trees, you can use the brown to create some shadow that's behind them. Sorry, my throat's a little dry right now for some reason. And if you prefer to use green instead of brown for these shadows, like I have in my sample, just mix the brown with some green. Brown plus green will make this olive green here. And you can use either the light green actually or the darker green depending on what you're looking for. Here are the samples. This is with the lighter green and this is with the darker green. Both are mixed with brown. I prefer the one with the lighter green, so I'm going to use that. I'm filling in the green parts that I saw on the rock too. So that's back here. And yeah, what you're doing today is more challenging and advanced than what we've been doing. I decided to push you a little bit today. And I think overall landscapes can be very fun once you get a hang of how to use the paints and how to complete your or create your composition. I put too much green here. If I make a mistake and the paint is still wet, I can kind of press and lift with the paper towel to remove the paint. It doesn't remove all of it, but I'll remove most of it. So that's me erasing a mistake I made. If it's already dry, what you can do is add water on top to reactivate it and then use a paper towel to remove it. For this very dark tree on the left, I'm just going to use the dark green mixed with the dark brown. Should look something like that. And I'm mixing colors very quickly. I don't expect anyone to do it that fast. It's come with a lot of hours of mixing paints to figure out how to make the color I want. I'll fill in this tree right here. The very last thing you could add to this is some shadow on the ground, which is just a brown mixed with the yellow of the trees, or orange if you used orange. Oops, wrong brown. This is brown plus the yellow of the trees here.
Brown with what?
The whatever yellow I used for the trees back here, or the orangey yellow that I used. So I mixed it with this one and a little bit of that brown to make it darker. And just putting a line on the ground beneath the trees to suggest some shadow. You could also use the lighter brown. It'll be a little bit more orangey.
Yes, I'm sorry, I have to go.
No, no worries. It's 12 o'clock.
Yes, I know.
Yeah.
So, because I got things to do.
Yeah, you've got a busy day today. Yeah, I'm glad you could join today. Yeah, you're welcome. I know it's lunchtime. Add one more layer. You're welcome. Hopefully that was helpful. I'm trying to find ways to do more landscapes.
I'm not quite ready for that.
Maybe I can make them more simple somehow. But they're naturally challenging, so I think just you can feel proud of yourself for making the painting and attempting it.
I think this is going to make it to the closest wastebasket.
The closest what?
Wastebasket.
Wastebasket. It's good practice. Well done, everybody.
Oh my goodness.
You'll keep getting better as you go, as we do more of these. Yeah.
I love it. Something to realize how much I don't know.
It takes a lot of practice to work with watercolor. I think we really need about an hour and a half to make a full painting. But it's not bad for 1 hour. How are you doing, Marianne?
I didn't realize that was a tree that you were doing.
Oh, it kind of blends in the photo. Well, I think the first thing I would do is adjust the sketch back here, and then when you add these, I would just have them go all the way down as big marks instead of lines, like these smaller lines. I think bigger strokes will help it stand out more. That's one thing. And then for the waterfall, I'd paint around it to make sure it stays white. Yeah, that's a good start. Yeah, I can see the mountain. All done. Oh, looks great, Lorraine.
Well,
You got all the tones down. I think
trying.
that's the one of the tougher parts is to make the shades like light enough or dark enough. And that's also the most important part. Once you have that, then the colors are
It's so
easier.
enjoyable just to see the mystery of the color that results.
Mm. Yeah, it's pretty satisfying to mix colors.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Those brushes over here are clean.
Oh, thank you. I think I'll just add a few more touches here. And then I'm done.
Yes. Okay. I don't need that. Good. I didn't know you did that, but you can watch it again. Yeah, you're started. Well, I did it first. But then I didn't do the last part. I don't like the way